Change in life.
Testing, testing, testing. Hello, hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see everyone back on the Tuesday evening with Dr. Abraham. I'm Vincent here, and I will be your main host and translator for tonight's session. Okay, so for tonight's session, you'll be conducted in English. As for those of you who wish to listen to Mandarin, okay, you can click on the Mandarin translation. Okay, at the bottom of the screen. Okay, just like a globe, and then click on that. Okay, select Mandarin. Okay, I will be there doing the translation after our introduction. Okay. All right. I'm so happy to see you again tonight. Thank you for taking your time off to participate in tonight's session to enrich yourself. Okay. We have been planning and organizing a lot of online health talks so you can not just benefit yourself, but you can also invite your customers and your prospects to this health webinar and have them to listen to the health talk, as these health webinars are conducted by the professionals such as Dr. Abraham and the fellow team of nutritionists. All right. Okay, let's get started tonight. Okay, as you can see from the topic today, okay, Dr. Abraham will be discussing with everyone regarding heart-related issues. Okay, heart-related issues. Lighten your heart with balanced oil. Okay, heart problems or cardiovascular disease is actually a leading cause of death globally. And actually, are you aware that in our lifetime, or our heart actually beat over 2.5 billion times? Okay, in our lifespan. Okay, in this part of the world, Malaysia, 1 out of 4 person death, okay, in Malaysia is due to heart disease or stroke. And Singapore is even higher. All right, 1 out of 3 death in Singapore is due to heart disease or stroke. So, what worse is that we are seeing a trend where these health related issues like heart problem, diabetes, heart problem, high blood pressure. Okay, we are seeing rising prevalence of we are seeing more of such cases, which can increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. All right, and we are also seeing more and more young people are having suffering from all this disease. Okay, so what causes the increase in chronic health problems, and how can we actually help to manage that? Okay, later on, Dr. Abraham will go through each and every point with us in details on lightening your heart with balanced oil. Okay. All right. And of course, for those who are just joining us for the very first time, okay, welcome to our health webinar. Okay, Zinzino is a test-based nutrition and listed company based in Sweden. Okay, and we are also the world leading company with the largest fatty acid test database. All right, so we had like right now until today we have more than a million tests already done for the fatty acid test, right? So so we had big database, and we had the big numbers to work on. Okay, and from this balance test, we know that we are out of balance, and have and a lot of inflammation. Okay, all these things later on, Dr. Abraham will probably discuss on this. All right, and Zinzino has been serving many satisfied customers in Europe over the past years, and of course now with more Asian markets coming up, okay, it will even be bigger than ever. All right, and of course, and before the end of the session, we will also open up the field for some Q&As. Okay, so this will be a wonderful opportunity for you to ask Dr. Abraham anything regarding health and products. Okay, I'm pretty sure over the past week, if you have been speaking to your prospects, to your customers, all right, you will have probably encountered a lot of product questions from them. All right, there might be some that you are not sure of. Okay, feel free to chat with Dr. Abraham later on during our Q&A segment. Okay, before we start, let me give everyone a short introduction of Dr. Abraham. Doctor is based in Malaysia, KL. Okay, and he has been in the medical field, worked in the hospital for more than 40 over years. So he is very experienced, an experienced doctor, and has helped plenty of patients back to their health. Even though he's a medical doctor, he truly believes in the holistic approach to keeping our body healthy. Okay, right now he's also in the scientific advisory board for Zinzino, and has been working very closely with the rest of board members to develop better and wonderful product for you and the market. I can't wait to get the session started. So without further ado, let us all type in 888 in the chat box to give our warmest applause to welcome Dr. Abraham. Doctor, please, thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming this evening. I see a lot of new faces here. These sessions have been going on for the last 2.5 years, and it's free. Some of it may sound repetitive. Nevertheless, we find that newcomers need to know the basics, and those who are regular attendees, I need to give something extra new to them so that they don't lose interest. And hopefully this web chat achieves that. Now, this evening, we are going to touch, yes, balance oil, but then we are going to specifically zero in on the heart. Now, please remember, balance oil has many other benefits, but this evening we want to focus a little bit on the heart. And I hope that by the time we are done, you will understand a little bit more of how the heart works. Nothing technical. We try to make it as simple as possible so that people understand rather than become experts. Okay, so I'm going to share some slides with you. Okay. Okay, I think we are there. It has been found that those who come to hospital with a heart attack and die while treatment is being given, that they are short on many things, not just one. But one of those things is that 3/4 of them have a poor or a very low level of omega-3. And that is significant. When 75% of sudden cardiac death has this shortcoming, it is a little upsetting. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many other reasons: electrolyte imbalance, stress, lack of sleep, many things are added to this, but this is a factor that can be easily corrected. So before we go into that, let's look at how the heart is and how it works. Now, I'm going to give you a diagram here, which is, well, simplified version of the heart. Now, if you notice, the heart is pear-shaped. All living organs do not have sharp corners. This could be ideal on a diagram which is square, but then, living organs don't have sharp corners, and therefore they attain this rounded shape. Nevertheless, you will notice that there are 4 chambers. Okay, one chamber here, small one, and then there's a big one, and the third one is also small, and the fourth is a big one. You will notice that the first chamber and the third chamber are small, whereas the second and the fourth are quite large. Now, there is a reason for this, and let me simplify the diagram further so that I can explain this. Okay. Now you see 4 chambers: right, left, small chambers, right, left, large chambers. Okay. This chamber on the right side will receive all the blood from the body that has been used. That means the oxygen has been taken off by the cells, nutrition has been transferred to the cells, and the blood comes back in here into the heart. Okay, from here, the blood is pumped into the larger ventricle or compartment. Now this compartment now has to replenish the blood with oxygen. So from here, blood is pumped through this large vessel here into the two lungs to get the oxygen. Once the blood is oxygenated, it comes back through these blood vessels into the third chamber, which is a small one. From there, it is pushed to the fourth chamber, and this is the chamber that pushes it to the rest of the body. And that's the reason this is the largest chamber. This has got the thickest walls. And this is, you can say, covers almost 60% of the size of the heart. Now, if you look at the first chamber and the third chamber, they are small because they are just receiving blood. This side receives blood from the lung. So just to receive, you don't need a very large chamber. Okay. Now, from there to go to the larger chambers, there is a valve. You notice this here? This, when it opens like this. And when it closes, the blood cannot go back there. Same thing on this side. It can flow only in one direction. It cannot flow back. Okay. So the heart is basically a pump that pushes blood throughout the body. This blue color one is receiving blood. The red color is sending out blood. Okay. Comes out through a very large vessel, goes behind the heart, and you can see the bit here coming down. And that is out branches which supplies the whole body. Now, the heart, though it is a pump, it is part of the blood vessels. The blood vessels are modified in this area to be a pump so that the blood can move. If there is no pump, the blood cannot move. Okay, so that is the main function of the heart. Now, the blood vessel is extremely important. If you look at the heart, these chambers are all filled with blood to be supplied to the body. But the blood here doesn't supply the muscle of the heart. The heart contains blood, it pushes it to the rest of the body, but the blood inside the cavities here or the chambers does not supply the muscle of the heart. So how does the muscle of the heart get its blood supply? It has its own blood vessels. Now that may sound a little surprising. Here's a pump that pumps out blood through blood vessels. However, for its own supply, it has got its own network. And that is the diagram I'm going to show you. Okay, here's the heart now. We are looking at it from the outside. Here is the large blood vessel that needs to go to the rest of the body. Just before it leaves the heart, there are branches which go into the muscle of the heart, supply the muscle of the heart with oxygen. Okay, the heart, the brain, and the kidney consumes 3/4 of the oxygen that the body uses. That's a lot, okay? Quite a lot. The brain uses anything between 20 to 25%, and the heart just a little less, and the kidney the same. These three organs are very important. Now, these vessels, if you notice, it is sitting on top of the heart. Because it sits like a crown there, and you notice the blood vessel goes to the back of the heart. Because it sits on it like a crown, they are called coronary vessels. Broadly speaking, this supplies the right side of the heart. This supplies the left side of the heart. And the one that is going to the back supplies the back portion of the heart. Now, you might wonder why this left one is not here but here. Now, the left chamber, lower chamber, is very large, and the heart itself is rotated a little bit towards the chest. So this blood vessel becomes like very prominent to look at. So once again, right side, left side, and to the back. These are the three major vessels. And usually when somebody has surgery for blockages in this, you get three vessels which are bypassed. Let us say there is a blockage in this arrow area. They will fix the blood vessel here and fix it here, lower down, so that it bypasses the block. That's why it's called a bypass. So these are the major blood vessels. There are many more branches. And just to give you an idea, you see the kind of branches you have, quite a lot of branches. But then to remember, basically three. Okay. Now, the heart also pumps according to certain signals that come. So here we see this green color network is a network of nerves that supply the impulse. And you can call this the telecommunications department. Okay. Signal starts here and it goes into all the branches that you see here. Starts here, goes through this and comes to another substation where the signal is now sent to the larger compartment. And this is the network through which it is sent. So for the smaller chambers, signal from here, and then the substation will pick up that signal and send it to all parts of larger chambers. So we could have a problem with the circulation. We also could have a problem with the signals coming through the nerves. When you have blockages in the arteries, you do a bypass surgery. When you have a problem with the conduction area signal, the patient may need a pacemaker to set the pace of contraction. Okay. Now, this is adequate enough to understand what goes on when you're looking at the basic functioning of the heart. As I mentioned earlier, the heart is a modification of blood vessel, and it expands to be a pump that can push the blood through the body. So the inner lining of heart, okay, let me go back here. The inner lining of heart is the same as the inner lining of the blood vessel. Why I stress on the inner lining, that lining is very important because it produces a lot of chemical reactions, including growth factors, and problems normally start with the inner lining, whether it is the heart or the blood vessel. In the blood vessels, it becomes a plaque or a blockage. Inside the heart, because the space is a lot and the heart is moving all the time, it will form a clot. Okay. Okay. Now, how do we maintain the function of the heart? Or rather, what are the risk factors that can reduce the efficiency of this organ, of this pump? There are a number of factors that affects it. One, when you are overweight, now the heart has to pump blood to a larger area. Okay. The fat tissue also has blood supply, and the heart has to supply that. The fat tissue does not contract, so it doesn't help the heart, the blood vessels, to push the blood back. The heart pumps on one side, and when it goes to the muscle, contraction of the muscle, like your leg muscles or your back muscles, when you walk, when you stand, these muscles contract. and they help to push the blood back to the heart. But when it goes into fat tissue does not pump, does not contract. Therefore, fat tissue becomes a burden to the heart. Okay. So the number one thing is reduce excess body fat. Okay. I don't stress on weight because some people are larger bone, they have got bigger muscles. So according to their height, they may be classified as slightly overweight. BMI is a good measure, very broad. The more specific one today is to measure your body fat level. Okay, better to be around 25% or lower for the ladies, and for men, ideal below 20. Okay. Now, the next thing that causes problem is excessive cholesterol, not cholesterol itself, excessive cholesterol. Cholesterol is extremely important for the body, for every cell. But when it is too high, it tends to deposit in the lining of the blood vessels. Again, the lining of the blood vessel is a very important, very thin layer, but it can cause a lot of problems. It has been found that we need regular maintenance of sugar levels in the blood. If it goes lower, you could faint. And if it is too low for too long, during that fainting spell, you can have even brain damage. So sugar levels are extremely important. And there are two organs where the control of entry of sugar into the organ is not strictly controlled, because these two organs are very critical. So at times when the blood sugar is low, they get priority, okay, which is the brain and the kidney. So at times when you get high sugar levels, these are the two organs to get an oversupply of sugar. And it has been found that excessive sugar in the blood, which will flood these two organs more than other parts of the body, can slowly damage. So those who have diabetes long term, they find that they have developed kidney problems and nerve problems because it affects the brain. Of course, the primary effect of high sugar level is again the inner lining of the blood vessels, and it contributes along with cholesterol to cause blockages or plaques. Okay. Now, we need certain amount of pressure in our blood vessels. Why? You need that pressure to push oxygen and nutrition across the blood vessel into the cells. If the pressure is too low, again, you faint because the oxygen that is there in the blood is not pushed strong enough to get into the tissues. Same thing with nutrition. The blood pressure is low, you may not faint, but you feel weak all the time. There's not enough nutrition being pushed into it. Again, if that same blood pressure is excessive, what do we mean excessive? There are certain values above which there is damage to the system itself. Just like increased pressure in the piping system, certain joint areas may just burst after a couple of years if the pressure is too high. So if the pressure is a little high in your blood vessel, the blood vessels are a living system. So even if there's a small crack, there will be repair done. When the repair is done, that area becomes thicker. And this is one of the ways where blockages start developing. Okay. Now, it has also been found that cigarettes, okay, when you inhale the cigarette, the blood vessel, which is quite pliable, contracts or squeezes itself, which means less blood supply to the organs and the cells. When you finish with your smoke, it regains its size again, okay? Then you smoke again, it contracts. And as time goes on, it does not open back to its original size. So you get narrowing of the blood vessels. And between the two sexes, between male and female, they find for some reason it hits the woman harder. So if you put two smokers side by side, a male and a female, same age group, same number of years of smoking, same number of cigarettes, the woman will have more wrinkles on her face and neck compared to the man. So smoking hits everyone badly, and specifically with the woman harder. Okay. Thank God we don't have so many women smokers, and even the few that smoke, they need to understand this risk. Now, they find that when you exercise, the blood vessels also exercise. So when you actually do whatever physical activity, you are directly exercising the blood vessels, which means it includes the heart also. So when the blood vessels expand more and contract more, there's not only better supply of blood to every organ and cell, there is also better drainage of waste material. So a little bit of physical activity on a regular basis, and if you are one of those city-dwelling persons who doesn't have much physical activity to do, then you must have a planned physical activity. We call that exercise. So you plan something, maybe walking, jogging, swimming, have a mix. Do something that interests you. Only then you can sustain it lifelong. Okay. Now, we have the body as a living system. So is the heart. So it requires rest. Now, the heart does not get any rest. Even before you are born, the heart has already started pumping. And it will not stop, or it'll stop only when we die. Okay? So how does the heart get rest? Let us assume every heartbeat on an average is 0.8 seconds. Let's make the calculation a little bit easier. So every pumping of the heart is, let's say, 1 second. Yeah, that would make a rate of 60 heartbeats per minute. Normally it's 72, but for explanation's sake, let's put it at 60, 1 second, one pump. Okay. So the contraction is 40% of the time, the relaxation is 60%. In other words, 0.4 seconds of contraction, 0.6 seconds of relaxation. That's how the heart gets its rest. Okay. So when we are walking about, lack of sleep, the heart rate increases. Let's say the heart rate doubles from 60 to 120 a minute, which means the rest period is cut from 0.6 seconds to 0.3 seconds. That is why in intense exercise, we cannot sustain it too long. Okay. And the heart has a certain limit. It cannot pump more oxygen, and therefore we stop after a minute or two. And those who have had very good training can last longer. Okay. And even with all the training, as we get older, that capacity goes down. Now, to recover from all this activity, which involves breakdown and build up, you will need sleep. Don't cheat on sleep. And I see young people sleeping late. Please, as you get older, it is difficult to go to sleep and get a good rest. Okay. So as a young person, do not disrupt the normal sleeping pattern, because once you lose the pattern, it can be very difficult to re-establish it. Okay. Now, I mentioned that the body is a living organism, so are the heart and the blood vessels, and you must supply raw material to be able to upkeep it. You have to provide adequate amount of nutrition. Okay, and this is an area that we are going to focus this evening. Now, when you look at nutrition and the requirement, there's quite a lot of requirements. And I would say that this is in no particular order. We require all of this. I put this order because we are going to focus a little bit on fats today. We can't take on all the topics at one go. I wish we could, okay? So we're going to focus on fats today. Fats as required by all cells in the body, and particularly the heart and blood vessels. Now, fats, three types of fats are seen, okay? Normally, we talk only about two types, saturated, unsaturated, okay? Now, saturated fats are usually animal fats, but there are some vegetarian origin saturated fats like avocado, coconut oil, and so on. Most of the unsaturated fats are of vegetable origin, okay? Now, under this, we have a few further breakdown. Now, the biochemists are very interested in breaking it down so that they can study it, okay? For those of us who want to remember, it can be a little bit of a burden, okay? So unsaturated, the unsaturation can happen in one part of the carbon chain or the molecule of the fat, or at multiple places. So they divided into one area, mono, or poly, many areas. Today we are going to focus on the polyunsaturated fats, and there are two types, omega-3 and omega-6. The unsaturated part occurs in the third bond for omega-3 and the sixth in omega-6 as counted from the end of the molecule, omega, okay? Alpha is the beginning, omega is the end, just like A and Z, okay? Now, just a quick thing on trans fats. There are small amounts of natural trans fats in organically grown animal meat, which is good for the body. But most of the trans fats are the ones found in processed food, and this has been banned from being used in packaged and processed foods in most countries. Whether all companies follow that, we don't know. So it's better to minimize eating of processed foods. Okay, let's move on. Now, between omega-3 and 6, we find that omega-6 is in abundance in our diet because our cooking oils are mainly vegetable oils and we get enough of omega-6. In fact, in this part of the world, we get too much of that. Okay, omega-6 cannot be synthesized by the body. However, we don't have to worry simply because we get a lot, in fact, too much from the food that we eat. However, when it comes to omega-3, the supply seems to have diminished in nature. So we find that we do not get enough. Okay, normally we are supposed to get it from fish. Okay, not the only source. Even meat of animals grown organically on grass or naturally have omega-3. But nowadays we don't have that. Most animals are given commercially prepared food or fodder so that they can grow heavier, quicker. Most of this fodder has got high omega-6, and we'll end up with animal meat, including chicken, which has high omega-6 and overall more fat than before. So fish, you can get it from fish, fatty fish. Not many of us would like to eat fish every day, one. Number two, fish, the oceans have been polluted and so have the fish. So eating fish often causes some problems over a long time. And now a lot of commercially grown fish are there, and commercially grown fish have much higher levels of heavy toxic metals because they have fed all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, the ingredients of omega-3. Omega-3 is a family of oils. That family of oil has got two ingredients which the body uses specifically. One is the EPA, the other is the DHA. Those of you who are interested in technical names, EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, DHA will be docosahexaenoic acid. Okay, now you see why it's easier to remember EPA and DHA. Now, we need both, and both are used by all cells. But when we look at the proportion in which it is used, EPA is more for this part or tissues of the body. DHA seems to have a special supporting effect in nerves. Now you might say eyes. Why eyes? The back portion of the eye, the retina or the screen, is actually an extension of the brain, and it's full of nerves. And so this does support the eyes. Okay. Now, the European Food and Safety Authority is an independent organization in the European Union, and they are, well, quite careful in supporting anything. Okay. They have given a list of claims which people who sell omega-3 oils can make. I'm not going to list all the claims here, but one of it is it supports heart and blood vessels. Okay. Now you may be wondering, how is that? We really don't know how it works overall, but studies show that it has got an effect on the lining of blood vessels. In other words, the integrity or the smoothness of the blood vessels is better in someone who has adequate, not taking omega-3, adequate amounts in the cells. Now, you may be taking omega-3. Not everybody absorbs and uses all that they take. It depends on the preparation also. So when it gets integrated into the cell lining of the blood vessels, it maintains. Okay, we are all going to grow old and things will degenerate, but it is much slower if your levels of omega-3 are at the appropriate level. Now, the inner lining of the blood vessel is the one that is, you can say, the cause for the blood vessels to expand and contract. How is that? The blood vessel wall has got 4 layers, and this is the second thinnest layer. The inside layer is the second thinnest. How does it help? Now, the answer to that Nobel Prize was awarded to 3 scientists who discovered that. The inner lining of the blood vessels, in a quick chemical reaction, and this occurs very quickly, releases a gas. Can you imagine? Nitric oxide. Okay. Don't confuse that with nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is a laughing gas. You inhale that, people start laughing. Okay. This is nitric oxide, which helps in the dilatation or expansion of the blood vessels and helps in maintaining the health and the pliability of blood vessels. Okay. Omega-3 supports that. Okay. Now, reduces fats in the circulation. I got to be very careful here. When we normally do blood tests for fats, which include cholesterol, there are 4 or 5 different markers that will be mentioned in the results. Now, omega-3 has a strong reduction effect in one of them, not all. Okay, that one is called triglycerides. Okay, so out of the 4, that is the one that is most affected by adequate amounts of omega-3. Okay, now when we look at all this, these 2 here, It is because of the support of the DHA, you remember, that supports the nerve, that seems to help people with anxiety or sleep problems. Now, these are very complicated conditions. Anxiety is due to many, many things, psychological, other organ dysfunction. For example, if your thyroid is really over-functioning, the patient will have a lot of anxiety. Okay, so there are many other causes, but one of it, where it involves the nervous system, omega-3 can have a positive effect. Same thing with the sleep. Okay, sleep can be due to many other things, your stress level, worry, your commitments are so high, you can't let go of the thinking process. You know, you go to bed, the brain is still running, and it takes a while to wind down, okay? But in all this, the structural part, the nerve, is the one that also takes a lot of beating. Now, when it comes to omega-3, it supports the nerves, okay? Now, this is a main function that we know is a result of adequate amounts of omega-3, more than adequate amounts, the right balance between omega-3 and omega-6. The ideal balance is 1 part of omega-3 to 3 parts of omega-6. 1 part of omega-3 to 3 parts of omega-6. What we find in Malaysia, generally speaking, average, it looks like it is 1:22. Now that's an average, which means some people have better, or 1:15, and we have seen results up to 1 and more than 100. 1 is to more than 100, okay? So obviously something is seriously wrong with the diet. So that is something to look at. Now, we need omega-6. Why? It can mount an inflammatory reaction in the body. We are exposed to foreign substances like virus, bacteria, chemicals, and so on. When it enters the body, you need a fighting response. In pathology, it's called inflammation. So the body must be able to mount inflammation. But if the inflammation is uncontrolled, it can go on to damage our own tissues. So you need something to hold it back. It must allow it to fight, but when it is over, there must be something to hold back. And that is the job of omega-3. So when you have less of omega-3, which is the current situation, you get low-grade continuous inflammation in the body. Now, we didn't understand this. The olden days, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, knew this, but they described it as heatiness, okay? And we laughed at it because we say, what heatiness? Temperature is the same word, you know? But they were looking at inflammation. Now we understand that. Now means last 30 years or so. So we need adequate amounts of omega-3 to keep the inflammation in check. If the tissues get inflamed above normal level over a long period, it is a good foundation for the development of degenerative diseases like diabetes, excess cholesterol, high blood pressure, arthritis, and even cancer. Okay? Now, if you look at the red blood cell, the red blood cell carries oxygen on both sides. It's a flat, donut-looking cell without the hole, a donut without the hole, thinned out in the center, and it carries oxygen on both sides. So when it goes in the circulation, it carries, let's say, 1 unit of oxygen here, another unit here. Now, if they clump together, and a lot, I've seen blood tests, what is called live blood analysis. Most of us have red blood cells clumped together. So let's say 10 red blood cells clumped together. Instead of 20 different surfaces, we have only 2 for the 10 blood cells, red blood cells. Now that means the reduced capacity to carry oxygen. Now that sticking together is called clumping. And they find it is due to many reasons. One simple thing like not drinking enough water. Not drinking enough water, okay? And there are many other reasons also. One major reason is lack of omega-3, okay? Further benefits, and I'm going to go through because we have taken quite some time today. Okay, reduce age-related mental decline, for sure. All of us are going to have mental decline at some time in our age. And if you have adequate amounts of omega-3, it can be postponed till really old age, okay? And we will slow down, but we will slow down to a point where we are still functional. Today, dementia is very high because the nerve degeneration is much higher. One of the reasons is omega-3, lack of omega-3. Now, when you get dementia, it becomes very difficult. Many of these people suffer this condition where they don't know who they are, they cannot recognize anybody. It's like a living death, actually, okay? Now, people take care of you because they are your loved ones. Otherwise, it's very difficult to look after such a person, okay? Now, this is a very special case. In autoimmune diseases, the doctor must understand, yeah? Along with the medical treatment, if you take high doses of omega-3, that seems to lessen the effect of autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases is a range, okay? Quite a few of them. Now, it has been found that you have to use very high servings of omega-3, something like 4,000 milligrams, okay, which we normally don't take that much. Okay. Now, during pregnancy, the development of the baby's brain is going at a faster rate, particularly in the last 3 to 4 months. And they've shown it by blood tests that the omega-3 in the last 3 to 4 months drops, even if you have a normal level. Why? It is being used up. And therefore, supply of this for the expectant mother and the subsequent period where the mother is nursing the baby is extremely important. Okay. One of the things that we normally see quickly is that the skin begins to look better if you take omega-3 by about the 3rd to 6 months. You may not get the skin of a Hollywood person, but your own skin will look better and people will comment on it. They might ask you, are you taking something, but it takes a while, 3 to 6 months. Okay. Now, metabolic syndrome is the curse of our time. Why we call it syndrome? It's a complex of certain disorders. The 3 that come together is blood pressure, cholesterol, and sugar. Well, the body is not able to manage the sugar well. Of course, it takes a while before I can call it diabetes, but many things begin to go wrong much earlier. So when this 3 can occur and does occur together, one may be detected with blood pressure first. It's a matter of time with your sugar or cholesterol will go up and vice versa. If you have diabetes and you're not properly controlling it, your blood pressure is going to go up in a period of time. Okay. Now, you have to take many precautions for that. Okay. Omega-3 seems to help whatever you are doing to give you better results. Okay. Okay. Now that we know, yeah, omega-3 is good, how do we choose? Not easy till quite lately. If you can, you must get a brand which provides not only omega-3 that is taken up and used by the body cells. Okay? And of course, you also want to know the market feedback, what others who have taken it are saying or experiencing. Okay. Now, experiencing and talking may be the same, may just feelings, you see. So it'll be good if you have a test to be able to check and find out whether your levels are actually up at the cellular level, right down to the red blood cell. Okay. And that is what balance oil does. We have a test where you can do a finger prick, and this is sent to Norway, a very specialized lab. It's a private lab, nothing to do with Zinzino, and they will check the levels of the membrane of the red blood cell, omega-3 levels in the membrane of the red blood cell. Why red blood cell is so reliable? The blood circulates throughout the body every minute. So the red blood cells are going through the body, the whole body every minute. So it becomes a fairly good representation of the membrane structure of all the other cells. So whatever we measure in the red blood cell, we can be rest assured that that reflects the status in all the other cell membranes. So just to round up, Zinzino Balance Oil has got not only omega-3, we have an antioxidant panel. Polyphenols is not just one antioxidant, several. Now, this is the reason the omega-3 of Zinzino Balance Oil gets absorbed better. So if somebody adds polyphenols to omega-3, get the same effect? No. This is a proprietary blend. In other words, company secret, how they mix it, okay? These polyphenols are extracted from olive oil, and therefore, along with it comes omega-9, which is found in olive oil, quite a lot in olive oil. By the way, omega-9 is a oil which our body needs, can make, but many times not enough. So this extra supply here is helpful. Excuse me. Now, vitamin D3 is not just a vitamin. Many authorities consider it also a semi-hormone, okay? And it is very oily. So it's good to have that mixed with this, because this is oily, omega-3 is oil. So we also have added vitamin D3. By the way, D2 is not used very well by the body, which is usually the supply you get from plants, okay? Now, vitamin D3 is extremely important, and it has come to the fore during the COVID-19 time. They found that those who have a severe form of COVID had many reasons. They had other illnesses like diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, and so on. Mostly diabetes was the worst, okay? But they also find that if the nutritional levels are low, that may give you more severe symptoms. One of that was identified to be low vitamin D, okay? And of course, Zinzino Balance Oil, at least in this market right now, is the only one that has a test kit to prove to you what your levels were before you started and after you take. Now, we have tested some people who were already on other omega-3 products, okay? So when we tested them, we find that they are better off than the average, okay? 1:9, 1:6 even, okay? However, they did not hit the ideal level of 1:3. So you may want to consider Zinzino Balance Oil as part of your regular diet on a daily basis, okay? I'm going to stop here. Maybe we can have some questions. I noticed some comments here, yes. Especially anaerobic exercise, like vigorous activities. No. You need to incorporate some aerobic activities also. Yeah. Now, anaerobic activities are excellent to maintain your muscle mass, to maintain your strength. You need to do that, but also add on vigorous activities. Yes, you mentioned that, where your heart rate goes up. Okay. Now they might say 80% of your maximum, 70%. No, I would say depends on the age group. Okay, someone in the senior age group, you don't want to go to 80%. Okay, anything more than the regular, and you can push it up slowly over a longer period of time. One question here, my customer felt heatiness after consuming balance oil. What could be the reason? Very difficult to put your finger on it. Now, when you take balance oil, it may affect your metabolic rate, the rate at which you burn energy. This doesn't happen with everybody, so they might feel a bit more warm. One. Number two, it is a fat. So to be able to digest the fat, the body will take a little longer and use up fluid in the system. So if you're not drinking enough water, you could have this effect also. Okay, I'm making a guess here. So tell the customer to consume more fluids. How do you know he's consuming enough? His urine must be clear. If the urine is yellow all the time, you're not drinking enough water. Okay. There is another question here. Is excessive D3 an issue? Yes, but one has to take very high levels. Okay. Now, who gets that? So far, the literature that is available shows toxicity of D3, which is when you consume something like 10 times your normal requirement for a few months. And even then, only some people get this toxic effect. Now, who usually gets into that situation? Over enthusiastic health people. Okay. So, how much of D3 can you take in a day? Now, they used to say, oh, don't take more than 400. Okay. Over the last 5 years, I would say, now they've been found that you can safely take 2 to 5,000 units, international units a day, 2 to 5,000. Why such a big range? Now, in a tropical country like ours, especially people who are exposed to the sun, don't have to take so much. So they can take a lowered serving. Unfortunately, we are all clothed and we don't go out into the sun that much. So when I checked with the laboratories here, they find that in Malaysia, at least, 90% of the people are low on D3, vitamin D3. So it looks like we do not get enough. Now, in colder countries, over the counter, they are selling 5,000 international units and people are taking it. And now they find with the new search or research that our requirement is quite high, somewhere between 2 to 5,000. So is it an issue at the moment? No. And someone with heart-related disease already taking balance oil? Oh, can they take balance oil? Most definitely. In fact, they should take. How much should they take? If you already have a heart problem, I would suggest the higher, the bigger serving. Bigger serving is 12 ml. In practical terms, it's about 3/4 of a tablespoon. You know, when you fill it up, it's 15 ml. Now, don't fill up right to the top. You're going to spill. So just a little under that, you get your 12 ml. Okay, little bit more, little bit less, that's fine. This is basically a food supplement. It's food or concentrated food. Can someone, okay. Will too much of omega-3 cause health concerns? No, okay. Let's say you are taking an overdose, okay. I don't like to use the word overdose, it's food, so overconsumption. Now, let me put it in another way. Let's say you are overeating fatty fish every day. You just get fed up, you stop. The body does the same thing. It will convert it to fat and store it if you overdose, okay. It doesn't cause any. Omega-3 is a fat. So if it is not, if the body has got enough of it to maintain the cellular membrane, the rest of it is going to be used for energy purposes. Okay. If someone consumed very low omega-6, okay, didn't say what is the question, but let's say you are, that means you are being very, very careful with your diet. You don't use, you hardly use any cooking oil, which is very unusual. We have seen patients like that. And very rarely do you get low levels of omega-6. The body has a supply of that, not only from the cooking oil, even from the food that we eat, the meat and all that does have omega-6. So I have not come across someone with low omega-6. The cholesterol level increases due to low ability of secretion of steroids, right? Not necessarily. Now, cholesterol is a very complex subject. If you ask me something that directly affects cholesterol, it is the thyroid. If your thyroid levels are really optimal, your cholesterol will be okay. Having said that, even if you're under stress, cholesterol rises. You have a family history of high cholesterol, you will have higher. Okay. If you eat food, not necessarily fatty food, food that doesn't really suit you, you will get high cholesterol. There are many vegetarians. Vegetarian means there's no cholesterol in the diet, high cholesterol. Okay. So it's a complex subject. If you're looking at any particular area, I would say thyroid, stress. You're welcome, Esther. Can a diabetic on blood thinning medication take balance oil? Why is a diabetic on blood thinning medication? He must be having some other problem like heart problem or a past history of stroke or something like that. Okay. Blood thinning medication is serious. Make sure that you follow your doctor, and if you plan to come off it, make sure that you plan it with your doctor. Don't do anything on your own. Can you take balance oil? Yes. Okay. Balance oil helps to make the blood a bit more slippery. Okay. I wouldn't call it thin the blood further, more slippery. Okay. So it is a complementary effect to the thinning of blood by the medication. Can a leukemia patient take balance oil? Yes. Will it help with the leukemia? No. Your medical treatment is very important. That is the mainstay. Why do I say take? Any patient with cancer? Leukemia is cancer of the white blood cell. Their appetite is poor, cells are dividing very fast, and resources in the body are being used up very quickly, and they can't eat that well. So they should be taking not only balance oil, Velixir, protein supplement to boost their nutritional intake. Yes, they can take balance oil. If a customer goes to check with the heart, with hospital, and they discover that the heart shape flattened or narrowed, Can we take balance oil and anything need to? Okay. I am not clear about flatten. The heart is like a pear shape. So when you say flatten, that doesn't happen. I'm sure you mean something else. Maybe there's a medical word that you're missing out. All I can think of is maybe the person is born with some deformity in the heart. Okay. That can appear to have narrowed the heart and so on, because it's supposed to be like that. Sometimes if it is like this, it looks like it's a bit flattened. Okay. It will not correct the malformation that the person was born with, but the person needs a lot of support for the heart. Okay. Usually there will be a surgery involved to correct that. And there are times when no surgery can help. Okay. Today, the surgical intervention is very advanced to the extent that you may need surgery 2 or 3 times in your lifetime to keep correcting it. You need to support the heart. You need to take many other supplements like Balanceoil. Yes, Balanceoil is one of the basic things that that will support whatever you're doing. And a leukemia survivor who is now on chemo being taken orally, take Balanceoil, please. Yes. How much? If the person has not taken before, I would say double the serving for the first 3 months. That's when the full blood change occurs, 3 to 4 months. Yeah. In a leukemia patient, it's actually a bit faster. So 3 months, double the servings, and then step down to normal serving. How many sachets of elixir do the thalassemia person take? Thalassemia is you're born with that condition. Your red blood cell is not normal shape, and so they look anemic all the time. Thalassemia patient should not take iron without your doctor's permission. They look anemic, but they are not short of iron. Okay, Velixir will help. Okay, more than Balanceoil. Of course, you have other associated problems will come up. Take Balanceoil, but if you're asking for something that's direct, Velixir would be a good choice. What is the maximum dosage of Balanceoil one can take? For maintenance, one tablespoon is more than enough. Yeah, like I mentioned, any excess is either going to be stored as fat or burnt off as energy. Can Balanceoil dissolve cholesterol? No. The only thing that breaks down cholesterol faster is thyroid hormone. Okay, so you need to check on your thyroid hormones. If it is low, cholesterol can go up. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Abraham, for your sharing. Once again, we have plenty of questions today, which is very good. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty sure everyone tonight has benefited from your theory and advice. So let us all give Dr. a round of applause one more time. Thank you so much, Dr. Abraham.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and of course, after listening to doctor's talk, I'm pretty sure you will be curious about what is how is oil. If let's say for example you have not taken it before, just talk to the person who invite you to the call. Okay, but before you start taking the oil or the elixir or whatever, do a test first. Okay, do a test, the balance test. Okay, do this balance test first so you know where you stand. Okay, even for those of you who have been on other products for many months or many years. All right, okay, do a test first so you know your position. Okay, you will know whether the product that you have been taking, are they really helpful for you. Okay, you can check for yourself. Okay, so I strongly urge everyone to do a test first. Okay, and you will be surprised. We have plenty of customers who are on other brands of product, and they find that after many years of taking their supplements, they are still not balanced yet. So what do we mean by balance? Just now Dr. Abraham mentioned that. Okay, 3:1. Okay, 3:1 and below balance. Okay, omega-6 3 portion is to 1 portion of omega-3. Okay. Okay, so just now Dr. Abraham was sharing that the average in Malaysia was actually 22:1. Okay, 22:1. In Singapore, I think it's 19:1 if I'm not wrong. Okay, the latest one. All right, so this is actually a reflection of what is unbalanced. Okay, you can see for yourself over here. 12.7:1. By the way, this is my report. My report, 12.7. This is unbalanced. So what happens when we are unbalanced? There's a lot of inflammation in the body. Okay, and when this inflammation is like too much, too long in the body, it might lead to those chronic health diseases, such as, for example, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problem, stroke, cancer, etc. Okay, so what we do is, when we know that we have this, okay, these are the disease that's caused by chronic inflammation. Okay, all right, and when we are unbalanced, we will probably for a long period of time, we have the risk of having chronic disease will be very high. All right, so after 4 months of taking this balance oil, okay, and Valencia, okay, and Valencia, okay, went down actually to my results actually went down to 3.4:1. Okay, at this point of time, you can see that my body is now able to manage the inflammation much better. And originally it was a lot of red color, yellow color, but for this report there's 3 colors. You can see red color means not good, unbalanced, failed. Okay, yellow means moderate, and green means good. All right. Okay, so over here you can see from originally it was red and yellow, but then second test was after 120 days later, it was like moderate already. You can see a lot of moderate. All right, and of course after another 4 months it went down to 2.5:1. Okay, went down to 2.5:1. Okay, so it's right now it's not only myself who have experienced it. Okay, in fact a lot of our customers, a lot of partners have had the same experience as well, and they take 120 days of this oil, balance oil. Okay, but they must make sure that they are taking enough on a daily basis. Okay, and then they can see the improvement in 120 days time. Okay, so everyone from 6 months old all the way to 100 years old, they can take the oil in Malaysia. Okay, because it's very, very beneficial for our health, as what Dr. Abraham has mentioned earlier. And so far we have done like 1 million tests worldwide. 1 million. We've done more than 1 million tests so far. Okay, and we are very sure that you will definitely see an improvement in your result and likely to be balanced in after 120 days. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is the balance oil. Okay, hold on. Let me just go back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So who can take? Everyone in the family, whether you're 6 months old or 100 years old, you will balance oil and Malaysia can help. Okay. And of course, these are the 18 health claims approved by the European Safety Authority that the omega-3 in the balance oil can help to improve brain. The main functions are the brain, heart, and immune system. All right. Okay. All right. So I urge everyone to start taking balance oil and Malaysia if they are not done so. Okay. Or remember, just do a test first to get yourself started, and then after you can be on program for 120 days and do another test after that. Okay. Next week on Monday, our fitness nutritionist Victor Chow will be talking about inflammation. Okay, inflammation, is it good and bad? Just now I was showing you the inflammation portion. Okay, that is what we call the chronic inflammation. So he would go into more details about inflammation. Okay, so stay tuned for our fitness nutritionist webinar on next Monday at 9 p.m. Okay, 9 p.m. And of course, Dr. Abraham will also be having his session on next Tuesday as well. Same time, 8:45 p.m. Okay, so always follow us at Teams in Zeno Asia if you have not done so. Go to Facebook, follow us at Teams in Zeno Asia, so you don't miss out any session or any health talk that we might be sharing, that we are going to share. Usually on every Monday, Tuesday, we will have a session, and alternate Friday, we will have the Mandarin session for everyone over here. Okay, of course, you can also follow us at our various social media channels. Okay, so you don't miss out any important information that we are going to share. Okay. Okay, last but not least, this is just a quick one for our partners. All right, so we have this 200% ECB campaign now. Okay, so make sure that you are qualified partners. Okay, how are you able to qualify? Okay, have a new UPK partners or 8 new premium customers this month, so to earn 8 action points, so that you get yourself qualified for the 200% ECB in the month of September. Okay, all right. that's all for the day. Okay, thank you very much for your attending for being here. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed the session and find this session beneficial to continue to help us promote and share our health talk. Okay, in the meantime, okay, do plenty of meeting to do more sharing to your customers and partners. All right, thank you very much for your participation and have a great night. Okay, and have a wonderful week ahead. Okay, bye for now. Thank you.